Hello all, Mike here. I'm here to talk about building new habits. Now, there's lots of things out there about building new habits, and so I'm just going to talk about, firstly, the first 4 stages of building a habit. What they consider to be a habit loop, but I don't think it's a loop. It's actually, if it's a loop, then you're going to be leading to a addiction. I don't think that you really want that. So I'm going to consider them to be components of habits, and there's 4 of them. The first one is the cue, which it sort of starts the routine off. Second one is the motivation to actually do the action, which is the third thing. And finally, the fourth, which is the reward, which makes up the last component of making a habit. And so what I thought about I'd do today would be talk about the cue, because a lot of people skip the cue a little bit. They think that it's either easy or, self-explanatory or something, but there's a lot to a cue. And so what basically is a cue? A cue tends to be something that will stop your brain long enough for you to make a decision on whether to do an action or not. That's what a cue actually does. It's like walking into a dark room and you have to stop because you can't see, so you automatically turn on the light switch, which is the automatic habit that you have that is instigated by the cue of the dark room. This is the same as when you go to the washroom in the morning. You probably brush your teeth. It's a cue. You're in the washroom, you stand up, you look in the mirror and you think, oh, I better brush my teeth. And then the cue after that may be to brush your hair or whatever it is. So these are cues that start things off, that gives you enough time to make a decision of whether you want to do it or not. So what makes a good cue? Now, a good cue is something that is going to happen regularly, whether you want it to or not. It's like that getting up in the morning and going to the washroom. It's a good cue because it happens every morning, and if you attach some habit that you want to create to it, then it's an automatic thing. You don't have to worry about choosing a cue. It's just there. That's the first cue. It's there. You got a cue. I'm gonna roll around every 24 hours, so therefore it's there. Other good cues are getting home from work, or having a coffee break, or eating lunch, or the sun coming up in the day, or whatever it is, something that happens without your control, just automatically. That's a good cue. So that's one thing. It happens regularly. It also has to be obvious enough to actually make it so that you will notice it. It's no good having a cue that you just blow right past. You have to actually be able to notice it. And so if you don't notice it, then it's not a cue. So good cues that you notice are, it's cold in the room, so that's a cue to get up and turn the furnace on. Or it's hot, so you get up and turn the air conditioning on. These are cues to do an action because you have a desire or a motivation to gain something. And so that's another important part of a cue, is that it has to be obvious enough to stop you. Walking into that dark room is pretty obvious that you need to turn the light on. So that's a good cue. All right. Okay, now a lot of people will choose a cue and then wonder why it doesn't lead them to do the action that they require or want. And that's because often they choose a cue that doesn't have anything to do with the action that you actually want to have. So say you want to start an exercise habit. It's a great habit to have. You want to do push-ups or something like that. Your cue probably shouldn't be sitting down and turning your TV on. You know, this is not a good cue. Or, you know, if you want to, let's say, you know, start running every day, which is okay, great. So what cue are you going to use? Well, it shouldn't be getting ready for bed, right? It's just not appropriate. It's not going to work. So you have to have a cue that is going to be appropriate for the action that you want. You know, your exercise routine could be, I get home from work and you're going to change out of your work clothes into something else. So that could be the cue. I'm going to change into my exercise gear, and then that's a good cue to go exercise. So that's another good thing, is it has to be related at least a little bit to the action you want. And it also has to have something to do, kind of cue your brain that it has, there's a reward at the end. So walking into that dark room, when you turn the light on, the cue is it's dark, I want it light. So the reward is the light once you turn the switch on. The reward of putting on your exercise gear is to know that after you've done that, you can go out and do your exercise. It has a reward that's close enough that you can actually be motivated to do it, which is something we're going to talk about down the road a little bit. But if it doesn't have anything, if the reward doesn't have anything to do with your, or if the cue doesn't have anything to do with your reward, then it's going to be harder to motivate yourself to get up and do the action. So, or it could just lead you astray, right? If your cue is to open the fridge, opening the fridge is your cue to do 10 push-ups, that's not going to work, right? You're going to end up rummaging through the fridge and not doing the exercise that you want, because it doesn't have the reward of opening the fridge and getting something out of the fridge isn't going to instigate a push-up routine. So there you go. That's another one. It has some leeway on time is an important factor. So when you're starting a habit, it's easiest to allow yourself the time to put the action in place. So what I mean by this is that when you wake up in the morning and you do your usual or regular routine, if your new habit you want is to brush your teeth, then you don't have to have a timer that says I'm going to brush my teeth at 7 o'clock. That isn't going to work, because often things don't happen. You sleep in, or you don't sleep in, or you take longer doing something else, and therefore your time is of 7 o'clock is going to go by. So it has to have some leeway. It's not really a timing thing. It should be a action thing, or a environmental thing, I guess is the truth. It should be more along the lines of this is what I'm going to do after I do that, rather than I'm going to do this at this time. So that's important to know. And it also should be something that happens at a normal time of a state change. Now, a state change, that's a NLP, neuro-linguistic programming term for a change in your mood, or some attitude or something like that. You have decided you're in a bad mood, so a state changes from a bad mood to a good mood, and so that is something that can happen when you or practicing NLP is you decide, oh, okay, I'm going to do this action to change my state from depressed to excited or whatever. When we're talking about cues, we're talking about a normal state change. So getting home from work is a normal state change. You're going from work to leisure, or whatever it is like that. You're first thing in the morning, you're going to the washroom. Your normal state change is you're going from sleeping in the bedroom to getting up and starting your daily routines. Your lunchtime state change could be, you're working and now you're going to break for lunch. So that is a normal state change. You don't have to concoct it. You don't have to set a timer for it. You don't have to count how many times you do something, so that will be when you're going to do something. Often people will say, well, I'm going to do this when this happens. Well, that's great, but if it doesn't make it easy to do, then that's hard to make it being confusing here. If you are just relying on a time cue or something like that, then that is difficult to move yourself from one state of doing something to another state of doing something. You have to have a lot of motivation to do that, and is one of the things we want to minimize, is how much motivation you actually are putting into something, because motivation is a limited, small, it may not be small, I guess. It is a limited resource. You don't have a lot of motivation, or unlimited amount of motivation to spend. And then I think the last one I'm going to talk about is that it should have enough social space for you to start your action. So a cue that happens for you, let's say you want to do push-ups. We're talking about push-ups. You want to do push-ups, and your cue is that when the buzzer goes off for your work break or whatever it is, then that's the time you're going to do push-ups. So that's appropriate if there aren't a whole bunch of other people around and you feel strange doing push-ups while they all have a smoke, or go for coffee, or talk to you while you're doing your exercise, or whatever. There's no social space for that. Whereas if you're by yourself, first thing in the morning, you're going to do your push-ups, no one else is around, or if somebody else is around, they're also exercising, then that's a valuable, and that's a place where you have that social space. So that's the factors that make up a good cue. And so when you're planning a new habit, which you have to plan, choose a cue that fits those criteria, that have something to do with the reward, something that's obvious, something that happens at a good time, a change of state, something that happens regularly, all those things. If you get them all fit in there, then you'll have a good cue, and you'll have a much greater chance of actually creating the habit. All right, talk to you next time.